What up? This might be an incredibly short stream, or it might go for a while. I don't really have a plan. Nice. I tried to find the diet version of enjoying a cookie because I was craving chocolate. And I ended up just microwaving steel cut oats, almond butter, and sugar-free Landry's chocolate chips. It's pretty good. I thought it was going to be absolutely shit. It wasn't bad. It was enough to satisfy the craving. I should probably get some of that chocolate protein powder. Hey, Tom Schaefer. I worked on this a bit last night after the stream. Just resizing things to make them fit the template better. So, rendered out some more of the night, sketched in this bit, sketched in this bit, resized this, resized all this. It's a pretty significant difference. Yeah, this is where it was before. It was actually here. I had to lower the whole thing pretty significantly. I don't know. I ate the Landry's, like the ones all the diet people recommend. No, I'm eating pretty clean. I just didn't want to do anything with like butter in it. I didn't want to do butter and I didn't want to do like sugar, like refined sugar. So, it turned out pretty good. I'm sure there's a healthier way though. Yeah, it's pretty detailed here. John Secaroles, my favorite name in chat. How you doing? That's very funny. That's extremely funny, actually. Why is YouTube giving me a notification, watch live now, I'm streaming? I'm not subscribed to myself. What is that? That's super funny. I wonder if that's triggered by the algorithm. Maybe that means I'm doing something right. That's very funny. That's never happened before. I'll say this about the architecture in Elden Ring, guys. It's fucking covered in stuff. Have any design tips, like stuff they teach you in college? I mean, that's a very broad question. What kind of design? They didn't teach me any design tips in college. I had to self-teach. I had to actually write curriculum for a course on character design because they didn't have one in the syllabus. But yeah, I don't know what kind of design you're talking about. Shape design for composition. The best resource on composition I've found, I did two things. I got James Jean's Fables covers book, and I put tracing paper over every page, and I tried to trace the big shapes. Not the lines he was drawing, just the big shapes. In different colored pencil. So if there was a big circle, I'd trace it in red, and then if I saw a big triangle, I'd trace it in blue. And then I would divide the page up into thirds and fourths and look for where things were falling. And I was like, oh, okay, he's doing this to move the eye around. Then I'd look at like how he was lighting things and what's dark versus what's light on the page and where he wanted the focus to go. I did that for every image in that whole book. And then the only book I ever read that had really good composition stuff was, okay, there's two. There's Loomis's book. I think it's No, what is it? Fun with a Pencil? Or his illustration book has it. That's the one that breaks down that every letter of the alphabet and every number is a perfect composition. Like every letter is designed to fit in a pleasing way inside of a rectangular space. And then I believe it's James Gurney's Creative Illustration. It's one of his two books. I think it's Creative Illustration. It has a really good thing on composition. That's where I learned about like spoke wheeling and how to move the eye around and what a vignette and a double vignette are. I would get those books if you can. Those are really, really good. Essentially, you want the eye to go where you want it to go. That's essentially what composition is about. It's about I guess it's about two things. It's about creating a frame to put all the elements of a piece down onto, so everything sits in a pleasing way, but it's also about placing things in a way where the eye goes where you want it to go. It's about like tricking a person, you know, making them look where you want them to look, essentially. Yeah, in general, if you can, if you collect like a bunch of images by an artist you really like, try looking for their compositions in the piece. Go, okay, based on how based on how they're lighting everything, coloring everything, and drawing everything, where are the big shapes? And yeah. Remember, it's the big implied shapes. It's not literal. You're not looking for literal rectangles and triangles. Just things that kind of follow the path of one. Sometimes they're, Donato Gincola does this a lot. Sometimes the shapes aren't based on the drawing, they're based on the lighting. He'll take like if he took a character like this, sometimes he'll have a cast shadow from something out of frame, just cutting the character in half. the character will be like stepping out of a shadow into the light, but that dividing line of the shadow and the light side will be part of an overall triangle. Like maybe in the background, there's like a vignette of a city or something like this. And then this whole section here is like an implied triangle, but there's no actual lines in the drawing for it. You can look for those too. A lot of like, I don't want to say higher concept artists, but like a lot of artists that are better at hiding their compositions will do that, where they'll use like areas of light and shadow to make shapes, even though the drawing isn't following the lines of it. Those are really cool. Composition is the easiest concept to understand in the beginning and the hardest concept to master at the end. You can use really basic compositions to take a piece from, like, if we're doing like a scale of 1 to 10 just for sake of argument, you can use composition to take a piece from a 1 to a 5 really easily. But if your piece is already a 5, having your composition take it from 5 to 10 is extremely difficult. You have to really understand what you're doing for advanced composition stuff. You have to balance a lot of elements and information. But a really strong composition will make a flawed drawing look very iconic very fast. Sometimes the success of a thing is 90% composition. Like Frank Frazetta, like there were other painters like Frank Frazetta that could do comparable work, but his power compositions were just so, like, they were designed to be read from across a room on like a paperback store shelf. Like, it looked interesting even if you didn't know what the cover was. Like, the shape just immediately felt powerful. Oh, Frank. Frank and his Voov highlights. You didn't miss much, but the stream might end abruptly because I'm waiting to hear back to see if I'm doing anything tonight. I don't know if I am. So the stream might suddenly stop. I had some friends in town that wanted to get together, but I think they might have enjoyed 420 a little too much. Right back. Oh, hi. Oh, was that true? I didn't actually know that. about Shrek. That's amazing. Oh, I don't know. With enough cross-hatching, you can do anything. With enough cross-hatching, you can do anything. Shut up. I started working on this night. The hard part's gonna be rendering all this, like, flying buttress cathedral bullshit. But yeah, I want to get this, I want to figure this section out. Because if I can get this done, I'll have, like, 70% of the frame done. Because it's going to be flippable. This guy is going to be hard, because there's no high resolution reference for him. If you look up that, is it Bernie Wrightson? Who is it? The Frankenstein book. The cross-hatching that achieves a level of depth that should be impossible with a pen. That book is fucking wild. That book is absurd. Someone was asking me why it took so long to do these pieces, and I was like, because these pieces are like 20 pieces. Like, I could call this a piece. Or I could call this night a piece when she's done. Like, I'm doing like 20 pieces in one piece. That's why. Oh, God. I think it's Bernie Wrightson. I might be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I want to say that's who did it. It's like the craziest pen and ink. I mean, Gustave Doré, I mean, is the, you know, the greatest of all time. But that's actually etching. The depth that Gustave Dore would get with like his little needle hatching is fucking wild. I reference Dure's stuff a lot. Yeah, Wrightson's absolutely out of his mind. Shut up. I don't know if this is your first time seeing their work, but that Frankenstein book, if you go through the illustrations on Google, it's fucking ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous what they're able to do with a fucking quill pen. The one of the lab with all the empty like bottles and like the sun filtering through everything on the desk. He like achieves dustiness with line art. It feels like dusty. You can like feel the particles in the air. It's fucking nuts, dude. Your stuff doesn't look flat. What are you talking about? Do I need to bust out Pepito? Pepito! Do I have to? You do form in your work. What do you mean? I got Pepito on the hard drive, don't forget. Just keep going, shut up. You'll figure it out. If it helps, if you go to sketchfab.com, you might be able to find a 3D model of Griffith you can rotate. I'm not sure. They have a lot of 3D models there. Depending what kind of model it is, sometimes they have lighting on them. Oh my god, what am I doing? It's nighttime. It's nighttime. What am I thinking, chat? Down. Alright. Oh. Thank you. We are going to move this desk over there. So you're going to see them stained glass from a different angle one of these days. But for now, here we are. You'll actually probably be able to see more of the stained glass because I won't be sitting right in front of it like a fucking blind, like a shade. Hey, Sharky. Not sure how long I'm going to be on tonight. I might get off here soon, but I was getting impatient waiting to hear back from people I had potential plans with, so I decided to do some painting. Yeah, good to see you too, bud. For anyone listening to this who has messaged me on Instagram that I have not gotten back to in the past week, slash 10 days, I apologize. I'm very busy right now, and I'm trying to, like, stay productive and not go off the rails, so I'm, like, extremely limiting my social media use. So if I haven't gotten back to you, it's not because I secretly hate you and don't care about you. I've got a pile of messages and a pile of emails I need to respond to. But, I don't have the mental battery to do it right now. Feeling a little overwhelmed this past week with stuff. So, social media has been reduced to the barest of minimums while I try to recenter my focus. I'm okay. I'm just a little overwhelmed. There's a little too much happening at once in life. So I'm just taking a step back, trying not to take anything else on from the outside, even if it's small stuff like, hey, can you do this for me? Like, I'm just kind of taking a little step back, making sure I don't get making sure I don't go from overwhelmed to shut off. Because it's real easy when you're at that, like, maximum capacity for, like, stimulus coming in. If you go over that and you become, like, actually overwhelmed, you can burn out really fast. And I'm trying not to burn out because I want to stay productive, because we've been on a good clip. The work isn't bothering me, it's just other shit. But they all share the same space in your brain, so I never get burnt out from the artwork, but I can get burnt out from from people and from personal stuff. So trying to limit that. Yeah, it's not the painting and the streaming that's bothering me. That's actually been a good thing. That's been a net positive, but everything else kind of needs to chill. A dead impersonator. Hell yeah, dude. I think I'm just gonna have to do another round of, like, deletion from my life, basically. I'm gonna have to do another round of, like, telling people and clients and things like, hey, sorry. I've had some old clients reach out that are like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, I can't, I'm very busy. And they're like, come on, please. And it's like, I said no. And they're like, well, you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to do another round of like cutting some ties, I think. Oh. Oh, weird. I thought I had something on my hand, but it's blood. I guess I cut my hand open when I was at the dog park. It must have been that little doodle mix that was sitting in my lap. That's funny, I didn't feel it cut me. I would never get rid of you, Sharky. You're my first mod. You never forget your first. I'm so glad it's almost beach time. I can't wait to go ocean swimming. Oh, ocean swimming is gonna feel really, really good. My favorite beach is probably Old Silver down in Falmouth or Gooseberry Island down in Westport. Gooseberry Island's great because there's no like waves. Old Silver is great because it's just fantastic. Second Beach in Newport is also really, really good. I love Second Beach. Third Beach is nice because it's inside the bay and there's no current. But Second Beach is like ocean, very traditional ocean beach vibe. Excited. Yes, I have seen how the T-Rex was made. It's fucking awesome. Alright, why is my computer screen blipping? What's going on? I don't think you guys can see it. I don't think it's something that the stream captures. My screen will go black for like a split second and then come back, and I don't know what the fuck is causing it. I don't know if I need to like restart it or I don't know what the fuck. Oh, actually, hold on. I forgot it's Saturday. What's playing at the midnight movie theater? Train to Busan. I have not seen that. Some good stuff coming up. Not gonna go. Train to Busan's amazing. Oh no, now I kind of want to go. I'm assuming it's a zombie movie because they usually do themes. Here's what's showing for the next 2 months. Zombieland was last night, Train to Busan is tonight, next week is Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, and Land of the Dead. 2 for 2, back to back. Then the week after that, they're switching to action. They're doing Last Action Hero, Desperado, Action Jackson, Over the Top, one of my favorite movies. Then they're doing Black Rain, which I already bought tickets to go see because I've never seen Black Rain on a big screen. One of Hans Zimmer's original soundtracks. Great movie. Then they're doing Martial Law. And then they're doing Darkman, which is an incredible movie. I might go see Darkman. They haven't announced their June through August schedule yet. Summer and autumn are usually the best. They do all the best Halloween movies there in the fall. The best zombie movie made it? Fuck, now you're making me want to go. I'd have to leave in an hour. You're making me want to go. Oh.
저기요. 이상한 사람이 하나 타고 있는 것 같은데.
팀장님, 여기 11호차 응급 환자 발생했습니다.
Oh, okay. Some World War Z vibes.
아직까지 남의 안에 열려 있다니까. 우리 그냥 이것들 갈고 부산으로 갑시다. 바로. 시티 몇 호가?
It's a cool premise. It's like World War Z, 28 Days Later, and Snowpiercer all at the same time.
우리 열차는 더 이상 부산으로 운행할 수가 없게 됐습니다.
Yikes. Yikes. Train to Busan. Tim, if you want to go, I'll go see Train to Busan with you tonight. It's in Boston. If you want to go to Brookline, if you want to meet me at Brookline for midnight, I'll see it with you. If you guys want to come, if you guys are down. My favorite zombie movie ever made is definitely 28 Days Later. I know that's a original take and I'm very brave for saying it. But yeah. The worst part of midnight movies is going alone. Finding someone to go with is the hard part. I've gone alone to those movies many times. Just because sometimes they show things that I like can't miss. They'll show like old film reels of like everything they show is usually on film. They don't do like digital displays. So like sometimes they'll have like Escape from New York, and they'll have like an actual film print of it from like, you know, the fucking late 70s, early 80s. And it's like, ugh, like seeing the film print feels so different. It I don't know. I can only compare it to like the way people that listen to records talk about records sounding different than CDs. It's like that on a screen. It just feels like warmer. You can like feel the film grain. It's very strange. It's very hard to describe. That's cool, man. Am I seeing you next weekend, or are you doing school stuff? They live with an original print. Yeah. Yeah, man. Something about fucking film reels. They just feel so much better. The best, oh my god, the best. They had a film print of Akira, and oh my god, it was like a completely packed theater. Everybody wanted to see that. Akira on film is crazy. That movie feels so like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like warm. It's very weird. It feels like you could reach out and like smudge the paint on film. It feels like it's like, I don't know, it's got like depth to it or something that it doesn't have when I watch like a digital. All the little imperfections in it make it feel like more like real for some reason. Yeah, Akira was dope. I've seen a ton of shit there. The best is starting in September all the way through Halloween, they do all the classic horror movies. I think last year I saw Hocus Pocus, Fright Night, what the fuck else did they have? Bram Stoker's Dracula, Sleepy Hollow, fuck, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, fuck, what else? I saw a ton there last year. The Thing. The Thing on film is great. The special effects look so good. It's just cool to be able to see stuff as it was intended. When Dracula dies, why does he insist on looking straight up? Because he's looking at a mural of him and Elisabetta on the ceiling. And he wants the last thing to see he sees to be him and his true love. Or you could go with the archetype version and say that he's looking up at God for forgiveness. Be right back. Yeah, The Thing is one of the greatest films ever made. Now, I heard a rumor about The Thing, and I don't know if it's true because I never looked into it. I heard that the way you can tell who the Thing is in the movie is that when someone becomes a thing, they don't have speculars in their eyes anymore. I heard from a friend of mine who's like it's like a big cinema snob. He was like, yeah, they intentionally made their eyes like black, like there's no light reflected in their eyes when they become a thing. I don't know if that's true. I have no idea. But if that is true, that's pretty dope. Did he disclaim that? Okay. Well, hey, listen. I'm of the opinion, personally, that you shouldn't know who the Thing is at the end of the movie. I think the movie is about paranoia, and I think the whole point at the end is that neither of them or both of them could be a thing. My personal headcanon is that neither of them are things, but they're so suspicious of the other that effectively they're willing to like kill each other. But yeah. Greatest action ending line ever. Well, fuck you too. That's awesome. Okay, good. I want the answer to be that nobody knows what the Thing is. Dude, tell me why. Tell me why on 420 my boomer parents decided that they were going to go to a Sublime concert? You guys don't listen to Sublime? Sublime was like... I don't even listen to Sublime. Like, what? They're like, yeah, the concert was sick. Everybody was really into it. Really loud crowd. I'm like, hold on, guys. You guys are like 70s people. Like, you guys came up in the 60s and 70s. What do you, like, you went to a Sublime concert? Like, you bought tickets 6 months ago? I was like, all right, I guess. Have fun. You guys don't smoke pot, you don't do edibles, and you don't listen to 90s music. And yet you're going to a Sublime concert. All right. She designed a lot of stuff in the movie, not just Dracula's armor. She designed almost all of Dracula's costumes, and a lot of the weirder set design stuff. She designed the wedding dress that Lucy gets buried in. She designed the golden robe that Dracula wears, the very Gustav Klimt kind of robe. She designed his like top hat look. Yeah. I want to say that was her first film credit, and then she went on to do The Cell and The Fall. The Fall was, well, I don't know, Dracula might be my favorite. The Fall is up there, though. The Fall is incredible. The costume design is unbelievable. That's how you get something truly iconic, is you get somebody who's an outsider to the industry. I want to say, I don't know if this is true, but the legend is that she had no idea. She'd never read Dracula, and she wasn't super familiar with the story. And I guess Francis Ford Coppola was like, don't read it. Just read the script, and I'm not going to tell you anything, and just do whatever you want. Just design what feels right for the characters and just go nuts. And man, that's how you get a really cool take on something. That's... How do you make Dracula original? Well, give it to somebody who doesn't know anything about Dracula. Yeah, she wasn't a costume designer when she did Dracula. She was like a fine artist fashion designer. Her name was Aiko Ishioka. And they just brought her on, and Francis Ford Coppola gave her total creative control to do the costumes and some of the sets. And she just crushed it. And then she did The Cell, and then she did The Fall. Probably some other stuff I'm not aware of too. But yeah, she brought an eye for design to that movie that that movie never would have looked half as cool as it did with a traditional designer. But yeah, that's a really cool way to get an original take. They did a similar thing at id Software with the new Doom games, Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, where the lead art director on those games used to design cars. He designed like race cars, and they gave him like total control to be the lead of the art team to do everything in Doom. And like, coming from that perspective, he understood that like things had to feel a certain way. Everything was more about like the feel. If something was heavy, it had to feel heavy. If something was fast, it had to feel fast. Like, very, very interesting to give somebody like that design control. Oh, cool. Yeah, she crushed it. He was like, Aiko, I didn't ask you to go this hard. What's up, little curry bread? Aiko Ishioka worked on Pacific Rim? Is that true? That's wild, if that's true. Truly wild. Oh, the Doom designer worked on Pacific Rim. Okay, that makes way more sense. Okay. Yeah, that makes a ton more sense. Those no-clip interviews with him about remaking Doom are some of my favorite things to put on. Where he describes, like, you know, the monsters in Doom. For a really engaging game, you want to feel like you're in a one-on-one back and forth with the monsters. So he was like, you know, going in and shooting the monsters isn't really like intimate or engaging. You're just emptying bullets at something till it dies. He's like, what's engaging is thinking of the monsters as dance partners. And you're doing a dance. And then when we introduce more than one monster, you have multiple dance partners, and you have to tango with this one and then flip over and slow dance with this other one, but remember that the other one's still tangoing with you. Then yet, like, that was such a cool outlook of, like, figuring out the rhythm of the combat by comparing it to dancing. I was like, that's like such a cool way to look at it. Because it does feel like that when you play it. It feels like they all have certain intricate moves and you have to watch them and balance their moves with your moves, and like, it's very, very interesting how they did that whole game. Alright, time to flip this whole section. Oh boy. Everyone's favorite. Wow. Dun, 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 dun. Well, first off, I'm not Dave. I know we're both just as handsome and successful. Wait, you know I'm not Dave? Sup, Dave? Are you gonna do this like Dave? Well, this isn't getting colored. This is just gonna get value washed with a color burn layer to turn this into like a patina instead of a gray. And then there's gonna be cutouts for the color. So there's a yellow one, there's a blue one, and the one we're doing right now is a red one. So yeah, this won't be that way. Typically when I paint with color, I do a grayscale and then I do a, the fuck is it called? It's an adjustment layer thing. The fuck is it called? It's a thing with sliders. Where you can like turn the dark value, fuck, what is it called? This is gonna drive me insane. Anyway, I'll do it, you'll see me do it on a future piece. Usually when I paint with color, I just paint directly with color. I usually do line art, then I do a flat, and then I do with a multiply. And then I do layers grouped on top of it that are locked to the multiply. And I do typically multiply and overlay layers for shadow, and then overlay and soft light for highlight. That's usually what I do. I just paint direct color because I'm colorblind. If I rely entirely on sliders and I don't manually pick the colors myself, I run into a lot of traps where things start to skew towards green that I don't intend to skew towards green because I can't see the green. So like I like to go manually grab my color and throw it down. Go, okay. I don't know if this has my... You're good, man, don't worry. I don't know if this has my sketch. Wow, okay, it does, kind of. It doesn't have my line art. You can see the line art underneath it, but yeah. This is so funny. The sketch is so bad. My sketches are always fucking rough, dude. But then it's like overlay, paint over, detail, more shadow, build up, build up, build up, build up. But yeah, it starts off with just lines and flats, and then it's like using multiplies and overlays to like build up the lighting multiplies to drop shadows. And then I get into like, yeah. Or, sorry, let me grab, I wish I had the line art, but I don't. I flattened it. You can see how pretty, like, you can see how rough it is over here in the hand, though. It's just like a sketch with some flats. But that's typically, this is typically what I do. But, yeah. What's the horn on the belt? I keep forgetting this also isn't the final. The final image had some adjustment layers on it. This one doesn't have. This is one I grabbed from my Dropbox, but it's not up to date. The final is more like... The final is more like this. It's more like that. The horn? Well, this type of horn is a powder horn, but I thought for him, because he burns things in his sensor, it would be filled with like a dust or something he could burn, or like a resin, like ground up resin. He could take the cap off and pour it in. And then this is a conjar. This is just a ceremonial dagger. But yeah, I thought the horn would like a powder horn for stuff that he could put inside this sensor. But yeah. The whole idea was this thing, if you unscrewed it, was like a mortar and pestle. So you take the top off and you could grind stuff up and then put the stuff you ground up in the powder horn and then use the powder horn to pour into the thing. But yeah. And then the rest are all charms from different cultures in the Middle East to ward things off. Powder horns are usually like if you watch an old movie with a musket, they usually pour the black powder into the musket. They're usually like a bison horn or something. I always thought those were cool. Oh, nice. I always wondered if anyone ever used a powder horn as a grenade. Like in a moment of desperation, if you just threw the whole horn into like a fire. I'm assuming it would cause a massive explosion, but I don't know. Maybe it would just cause a little tiny one. Just a little blip. Nice. The Ottomans definitely acquired guns. I want to say the Ottomans acquired guns fairly early. At least I'm pretty sure they did. But they traded with basically everybody. If I'm doing color iterations of the same character, I would make sure that I don't flatten things. I would keep the flats on one layer so I could adjust them and paint bucket in new colors. And then I would do different sets of adjustment layers on top. But I would always start with a drawing and keep the line art unique. I wouldn't flatten the line art down if I was doing variations. Keep the line art on a layer and keep the flats on a layer. I would do different sets of flats, and then I would do different sets of adjustment layers. But yeah, good line art is usually the first step, or at least line art that's solid enough that you can do flats underneath it. If you're doing painted characters that don't have any line art, I guess I'd probably paint them in grayscale, and then I would use a combination of overlay layers, color layers, and multiply layers with color sliders to get it close to what I wanted. And then I would adjust those accordingly for different versions. I'm trying to think of how I would do that if it had to be painted. I think that's what I'd do. The way this thing catches the light is interesting. I'm going to assume That the people I was hanging out with tonight got a little too high and had a little too much fun at 420, and that I'm just staying in for the night. That's gonna be my guess. If I was to see Train to Busan, I'd have to start getting ready in half an hour. Book music. You want to go see a midnight zombie movie? You're close by-ish. I could pick you up. Does the gang want to go see a midnight zombie movie in the city of Boston? I'm assuming no, because it's very late and it's very last minute. But hey. It's all good. I've never seen this movie, but supposedly it's great, according to Sharkey. I watched a shameful amount of Space Ghost Coast to Coast last night on YouTube for the 30th anniversary. I left it on for I think 5 hours. God, I love that fucking show. Everything gets married, Tom. Even flies and spiders. Oh, God. I'll never forget being a child, a young boy, in a hotel room on a business trip with my father. And I couldn't sleep. And I turned on the television. And I saw Space Ghost Coast to Coast. And I said, the fuck is this? It's a cartoon character hosting a talk show. It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I was like, this can't be good. But then Rob Zombie showed up. Young Rob Zombie. And I said, huh? I know who that is. And then another Space Ghost came out, voiced by Macho Man Randy Savage. And I said, I know who that is. And I was hooked. I was hooked. Immediately. I loved it forever. What a weird... I don't know how that happened. Does anyone in chat know what happened at Adult Swim? Not even Adult Swim, it was just Cartoon Network at the time. What happened where someone had the idea to take old Hanna-Barbera animation, dub it over, and create a series of low-cost shows like Space Ghost Coast to Coast and C-Lab 2020 and Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law? Like, how did that even happen? That seems like something that any studio would say, this is a bad idea, no. I'm like blown away that that got all the way to TV. Book music. I think you'd actually appreciate Space Ghost more than most people. It's essentially like... It's essentially really good improv that's trying to kill 15 minutes as fast as possible. It's I don't even know how to describe the vibe. I don't know what I could possibly compare it to. Because it's so nonsensical. It's so nonsensical. It's not like other improv where like there's a skeleton of an idea. Like it's just... It feels like a weird fever dream. I don't know. I have a hard time recommending it to anybody because it's so different than anything else. Like I don't know what markers there are for if people would enjoy it because it's so strange. The Conan O'Brien one is a good one to start with, or the Tom York from Radiohead one. The one with Tom York and Bjork is one of the best episodes. And I'm not just saying that as a Radiohead and Bjork fan, though I am those things. That's one of the best ones. I'll be right back. There's a Captain Christian about it? Oh, I gotta watch that. I'll be right back. Oh, hi. Sorry about that. What do I think about the horror genre? Is it too much of one type of storytelling for me? The scary, shocking part. I always like horror that isn't about the horror. I like secondary horror, which is a very Stephen King thing. I like Haunting a Hill House isn't about a house full of ghosts. That's there, but that's not what it's about. It's about childhood trauma, being estranged from your family, confronting that trauma, confronting your family, and about confronting the mistakes you've made in your life. So the ghosts in Haunting a Hill House are extensions of the theme. It's not about the ghosts. It's about the fact that, like, you know, each person has their own ghost. The one girl sees the guy shaking the glass. That's a guy that she cheated on her husband with. The other one is a drug addict, and he has the fear of, you know, what he did with his life. Nell has a constant fear of the broken neck lady, which is a representation of what happened to her husband when her, you know, husband died. It's all about the characters and confronting trauma in their lives and using the haunted house and the ghosts as a proxy for that. I like that. I also like everything Mike Flanagan's done, essentially. I like his approach. Midnight Mass is my favorite thing Mike Flanagan's ever done. Midnight Mass is probably my favorite horror anything of the past 10, 20 years. Really, really, really good. Midnight Mass isn't about... I'm assuming everyone's seen it. It's not about the thing that you think it is. I'll put it that way. It's about religion and about cult of personality and about desperation to be forgiven and the mania people will delve into in the pursuit of being accepted and forgiven. It's really, really good. There's a lot of themes of regret and wanting a second chance to take the forgiveness you have and build a new life. There's a lot of that in there. That's essentially what it's about, is having a second chance and what would you do with it? And is it worth it? Or should you live with what you've done? I love horror that's more about the characters, not about the jump scares and the monsters. If the characters are flat and it's just a spooky monster, I really don't give a shit. Another good one that Book Music in here knows about is The Terror, an adaptation which I have not finished watching yet, but the book is incredible. It's not about the monster. It's about man becoming the monster. It's about if you're desperate enough and you're isolated enough and things go south enough, what would you be willing to do to survive, and what would you be willing to do to your fellow man to survive, and the weird psychology of being completely isolated. It's great. Super, super great. It's like The Shining. The Shining's not about a spooky hotel, it's about addiction. The Shining's absolutely about addiction. It's not about a hotel. It's about, essentially, it makes more sense if you read the book. The movie's good, obviously it's a classic. The book is way better. But the thing that the movie loses that you only get in the book version of The Shining is that the shining power that Danny has, the psychic connection he has to the ghosts, the young boy, the thing you lose in the movie that is made very clear in the book is that Jack Nicholson's character, Jack, also has that. And when he was a kid, he would hear the voices and he would see the ghosts and he thought he was crazy. So he started drinking to make the voices go away. And that's how he became an alcoholic. So he's been clean and hasn't been drinking for years by the time they go to the Overlook. And what happens is The Overlook taps into his psychic connection for the first time in years, and he has a relapse, essentially. Everything where he goes crazy and tries to kill his family and goes completely nuts, it's because he's been holding back the psychic stuff in his mind for so long that when the hotel taps into it, it's like someone who's addicted to drugs having their first hit after 10 years and then going on a bender and dying. It's essentially a psychic bender. And that's like, that whole plot line is not present in the movie because they obviously cut it for time and focused on other things. But yeah, it's great. Super, super, super great. Him being an alcoholic is a proxy for the fact that he's like withholding this weird need he has. His body has a need to express its psychic connection, and he's been drowning it out for years. Then the hotel wakes it up, and he essentially just goes off the rails because he has no tolerance for it, because he's been withholding it for so long that he just becomes basically an open faucet for the energy to run out of. But yeah. They gave Jack's end to grown-up Danny in Dr. Sleep, which I thought was interesting that, again, Mike Flanagan directed it. If you want to see what happens at the end of the book The Shining, watch Dr. Sleep, or read The Shining. Yeah, the hedge maze is probably the coolest spooky thing from the books that got cut. The hedge maze comes to life and tries to eat Danny. There is no hedge maze at all in the movie, but in the book, the Overlook has a hedge maze. For those of you who don't know, the Overlook is based on a real hotel in Colorado that you can go stay at called the Stanley. And the Stanley has a famous set of ghosts that are two little girls and their mother that manifest for people, supposedly. There's photographs and stuff if you go there that people have captured of them, supposedly. And that's where Stephen King stayed when he had the idea for The Shining. You can totally see where everything came from, too. It has a really nice big antique bar. It's way up in the mountains. So, like, when you go there and you sit at the bar, you can kind of feel the energy that would have led to him creating The Shining. It's a very interesting place. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of the whole thing in The Shining is a metaphor for addiction and going off the wagon. The whole thing. Dr. Sleep is a very good book and a pretty good movie. The movie adaptation's pretty good, but the book is much, 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 much better. Dr. Sleep is a sequel to The Shining about Danny grown up. Yeah, the Stanley's interesting. It's a cool place. my favorite Stephen King book is The Tommyknockers. And The Tommyknockers is also about, it's a horror story about creativity. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever read. It's extremely relatable. It's about addiction too, but it's about specifically how addiction affected Stephen King's ability to write. It's like a direct confrontation of like the benefits of addiction if you're a creative person, and how frightening that is, because you're essentially trading your health and your well-being and in a lot of respects your life for a heightened creative capacity. And yeah, The Tommyknockers is excellent. It's one of the most unique takes on horror I've ever read. Yeah, I believe in the book Wendy's like a blonde, like kind of buxom lady. I can't remember. But I think for the movie, they wanted to cast somebody as Wendy that the audience just really wanted to stab. I think they wanted you to root for Jack. I think they were like, let's find a woman who can just, you know, who just looks like, you know, you just want, let's just find an actress. Let's get Shelley Duvall. We'll just find somebody where like, damn, oh man, I can't wait for Jack Nicholson to stab her. Let's do it. Let's find the most stabbable woman. No, I'm just kidding. Shelley Duvall's performance in that movie is incredible. I don't know how to describe this in a sensitive way. They found the perfect performance from an actress to be the kind of woman a guy like Jack would like abuse. It like nails that tone where she's like kind of like meek and kind of like stay back, and then it's the perfect thing for Jack to be like, you stay back. Like it's like when he starts mocking her, when he like goes off the rails at the end and he's trying to kill her with the baseball bat. It's like, oh my god, this is like spookily accurate to like domestic stuff that I've seen in my own life. Like this is crazy. Like I was like, it was like reminding me of my friend's parents when I watched it for the first time. I was like, this is scarily accurate. Like I don't know how they fucking tested these performances. She's hated because she's pathetic, John Secarolls, but the whole point is that she's supposed to be pathetic. In the book, she's not. In the book, she's a bit more empowered. But in the movie, they want her to feel pathetic because they want Danny to feel hopeless. They're trying to maximize the feelings from the book for the screen because you have limited runtime. So like, okay, in the book, Danny feels kind of isolated and the mother feels kind of powerless. So let's make her completely powerless and make Danny completely isolated. Let's take the subtle things about the characters and elevate them because we have to sell the narrative quicker. That's typically what movies do. If a character is kind of scared of something in the book, in the movie they're very scared of it. They take the defining characteristics and they ramp them up because you need, you know, broad appeal. You need the audience to understand here is the character. We don't have time to spend 10 chapters on subtleties of why they are this way and flesh them out. If someone's pathetic and scared, they are pathetic and scared, and that's it. We don't have time to go into it. But that's why she's hated. Is because people watched it and they were like, why didn't you just fight back? And it's like, because that's not the point. The movie's not about her. The movie's about Danny and Jack. I don't know anything about the making of, but I can totally believe that Kubrick was a psychopath. I can 100% believe that. That really sucks, though. She definitely didn't deserve that. She was in Popeye, come on. How can you not love her? I will say in the Dr. Sleep movie, the woman they get to play Shelley Duvall is, like, pretty damn close. There's like one scene in the beginning where like Danny's on a bench talking to a ghost and she runs across the street and she's like, Danny, Danny. It's very like, damn, you like really studied the, she's even doing the run like this with the hands up. Like you really studied your, you studied your Shelley. You did the homework. If anyone watches Dr. Sleep, the villains in Dr. Sleep are from the Dark Tower, which you've heard me talk about on here many times. Maybe, if you've been listening. Famously, my favorite book series for books 1 through 4, and then my most hated book series, books 5 through 8. But the villains in Dr. Sleep are from the Dark Tower. And they are a very cool idea that Stephen King had when he was on a bender. They're very, very interesting characters called the True Knot. That's awesome, Ray. Malfunctioning electronics, classic spooky. If people don't know, if they don't read Stephen King, all of his books take place in the same universe. And characters from different books bump into each other all the time. Including the Dark Tower. So that's a thing. He was doing a shared universe way before Disney or any of these other people. There's a scene in The Shining, actually, in the book The Shining, where Jack remembers after he got fired from being a teacher, he had to take a substitute teacher gig in a small town in Derry, Maine. That horrible summer that the children were going missing. And you're like, oh, he was the substitute teacher in It. Okay, got it. Great. That's a cool little touch. He talks about how that was the summer he picked up drinking again. He fell off the wagon the first time, and you're like, oh, because he was in a town with a psychic entity, It, and his like shining was picking up on it. So he like it's a little foreshadowing that he's probably going to go off the rails in the Overlook. Yeah, that's true. There's a photo of you at the Stanley. You're holding up a wine glass and you're going, great party! I should probably get into Vampire the Masquerade someday. I'm not super versed. Where would you recommend getting into Vampire the Masquerade? How does one do it in this, the year of our Lord 2024? How do I do it? Oh man, I'll have to check it out. Yabba-da-doo, yabba-da-doo. Book music. When are we watching Dune? We're watching it here. We're watching it at Mia's. What are we doing? When are we watching Dune? I'm ready to kill with a word. It was fun seeing Kyle MacLachlan show up in Fallout. I was like, oh, look at him. Our Dune boy is back. There he is. Our little Twin Peaksy Dune boy. Peaky Dune boy. That's what they call him. Torrid Dune story? Are there like sandworm clothes at Torrid? I don't know what's going on. Tell me everything. Tell me everything. Oh. Why would men explain Dune to you when you're a writer? I don't. Huh? Did they assume that you don't understand Dune? Here's the thing. I don't think I could explain Dune. I really don't think I could. I've got the basics. Also, does that mean you have a type? And whatever that type is predisposed to being a Dune fan? What are you looking for in the dating pool that's attracting Frank Herbert fans? Herbophiles, as they call them in the biz. What biz? I don't know. But they're definitely herbophiles. Not to be confused with hebophiles, though that Venn diagram may be a circle. Here's a question, since you said Lawrence of Arabia. Was Lawrence of Arabia a book, or was it a movie first? And if it was, I know it was a true story, obviously, but I guess Frank Herbert ripped off the true story of Lawrence of Arabia, because I think he wrote Dune before the movie Lawrence of Arabia came out? Lawrence of Arabia was a Golden Age movie in the 60s, right? And Dune, I want to say, came out... When did Dune come out? Because Lord of the Rings was the 40s or 50s, wasn't it? It came out after Lord of the Rings. Was Dune the 60s and 70s? I'm trying to figure out if Frank Herbert saw Lawrence of Arabia and was like, oh, I'm doing that. Or if he just knew his history and was like, oh yeah, Lawrence of Arabia. Dune was 1965. Okay. When was Lawrence of Arabia the movie? If it was anywhere between 1962 and 1965, he absolutely saw the movie and was like, I'm doing that. Dude, he absolutely saw... 1962 was the movie. Frank Herbert, I'm calling it right now. Frank Herbert absolutely saw the movie Lawrence of Arabia and was like, dude, that on Mars. Absolutely. That is so close. That is so close. 3 years to write the book, too? That's like the perfect amount of time. What a hack. What a fucking hack. He just saw the movie and was like, I'm just going to do that. Wow. Loser. Frank Herbert. I know Tolkien hated Dune. I can't remember why Tolkien hated Dune, but I know he did. I could never get through Dune. I could never get through Dune. I agree with the editor thing. Can you believe that a TikTok reel taught me something I didn't know about The Lord of the Rings? Can you believe that? I thought I knew it all! Unbelievable. What an experience. To be humbled by a goddamn TikTok reel. Here I am. A poser. No, I wish it was the Vigo broke his foot. So, I saw a TikTok reel of, you know, fucking Christopher Lee reading the Riddle of Strider. And it was set to images from the movie. And it never occurred to me until I saw that TikTok with the images from the movie behind it, the scenes playing while he read it. I never, ever, ever, ever realized that the Riddle of Strider was the story of the Lord of the Rings. I thought, for some reason, when I read the book, I thought it was just about Aragorn. And I was like, oh. Like, all that is gold does not glitter. That's the ring. Not all those who wander are lost. That's obviously a few people, but it's Aragorn, and it's definitely all are in, and yeah. The old that is strong does not wither. That's Bilbo not aging. That's Aragorn being a Dunedain. There's Sauron staying strong. It's like, okay. Deep roots not reached by the frost. That's a few things. From the ashes of fire shall be woken as the Balrog in the ashes of Moria. A light from the shadows shall spring is Gandalf coming back as Gandalf the White after he falls into the shadows. Renewed is the blade that was broken is self-evident, and then crownless again shall be king. It's the chronology of the events. It never occurred to me. I was like, oh. That's so weird. I never, yeah. It's almost like Tolkien's a good writer. Almost. But not quite. That is Zeppelin, you're right. The real question Rye gets is, did Tolkien see the Black Cauldron? Because I think he would have approved of that. I think he would have been like, actually, Disney, this is fucking sick. Not only is it sick, it's based on a Welsh legend. Sign me up. Hobbit channeling cult. I'm in. I did not hear about this, but I'm in. I'm so in. I'm so in. Tell me everything. Dude, the Black Cauldron fucking rules. Okay? Three-year-olds trying D&D maps. That's fucking awesome, and encourage it. It's a long story, but basically in the early 2000s, Lord of the Rings fandom on LiveJournal, a guy pretended he could channel the hobbits and trick some Lord of the Rings actors into showing up to a non-exist. Oh my god, dude. That's fucking amazing. What a winner. Do you remember when the first Avatar came out, people started killing themselves because they thought they could go to Pandora? Do you remember that? Isn't that fucking insane to look back on? That, like, there was, like, a wave of people, not a big wave, but still a wave of people that thought that somehow this was a simulation, and if they died, they could go to Pandora? Like, huh? I wonder what the art director thought. I wonder if he was like, oh my god, that's horrible, but also fucking crushed it. Like, I'd be tempted to put that on my resume. Like, art direction's so good, people killed themselves. World so believable, people died. Dude, I saw Avatar last week. How was it? It was so good, I think I might kill myself. Was that good, really? Yes. My affairs are in order. I'm going to Pandora. You don't remember the Avatar suicides? Damn. We were probably busy in school at the time. The fuck was Avatar? 2012? Like, I wonder if George Lucas felt bad when he read the news. He was like reading the paper and he was like, Avatar viewers so obsessed with Pandora they killed themselves. Like, I wonder if he like thought less of like Tatooine afterwards. If he was like, nobody killed themselves to go to my worlds that I created. What? Nobody died to go to Coruscant. Oh, 9. Damn, really? That sequel took 13 years to fucking... Jeez. That's wild. I wonder if he's still planning on doing like 6 of them. I know at one point he was going to do like a ton of Avatar movies. Well, yeah, no shit, the Earth's not going to be as cool as most fantasy places. I wonder why that was unique to Pandora. Maybe because Pandora felt more... I mean, it couldn't. It had 12-foot tall blue people running around. It couldn't feel more realistic. It had panthers made out of, like, jellyfish skin. I guess the nature felt more Earth-like or something? I guess it was also right after the economic crash. So I guess a ton of people had lost everything. That probably has more to do with it, honestly. If it was in '09. '09 was a time to be alive. And bought the land I built this house on in '09. Because the bank repossessed it from some people that had robbed my family when I was a kid. And my revenge was to demolish their home and all the memories they made in it, and erect this house on top of it, as if they had never even lived at all. Also, it was, you know, cheap waterfront property, so that was the main reason. Graduated university in 2012? Yeah? It sounds right. That's correct, good sir. But I went to college twice, so you can't gauge it off that. Art school was my second degree. Yep, a ton of wasted money. Double the wasted money, 2 degrees. Double the lost youth, studying for something pointless. That's me. Yeah, they call me Mr. Overqualified. I got 2 college degrees I don't use. Whenever I hear people having an argument, I step in and go, "Excuse me, I have 2 college degrees. This is the answer." Then I walk away. You really don't appreciate the good times in life till they're over, do you, chat? Take a look around, you might be in one right now. And you won't know it till 10 years from now, if you're not mindful. Wow, Johnny Pearson. Shocked that you knew that. But yes, that's why the audiobooks are professionally done. It's because I was an audio engineer. The only thing I ever used my skills for that I gave a shit about was making an audiobook where a skeleton says the F word. I don't think Steve Lichman has a wiki. I think we're so cult that we don't even have a presence on Wikipedia. Maybe we do. Predator 2 underrated? I think it's rated about where it should be. Yeah? People appreciate Predator 2, don't they? It doesn't rise to the heights of the other sequels. Like Aliens is like as good as Alien in a different way. Like Alien is like a perfect like sci-fi horror thing, and Aliens is a perfect like action sequel. I don't think Predator 2 rises to the heights of like Aliens, but it's, I would say it's beloved, isn't it? Yeah, I've seen, if Red Letter Media has put out a video, I've seen it. I already saw the video they put out today about the fucking Neil Breen movie. Red Letter Media is like, I've been following them since the very, very beginning. But, yeah, I don't know. I know their thoughts on Predator 2. I know they think it's underrated because Arnold wasn't the star. It's good. Fuck. still in the same detail threshold. Oh boy. I'm probably gonna get off of here shortly, chat. Oh my god, it's almost been 3 hours? Yeah, I'm gonna get off of here shortly. I thought it had only been an hour. I didn't know I'd been doing this for 3 hours, jeez. Time flies when you might as well not be alive, you know? No problem, Sun Matter. Thanks for coming by. You know, we're just slaving away on this piece. We'll get there when we get there, you know? It's the family road trip of pieces. We'll get there when we get there, chat. I told myself I was going to play the Final Fantasy XVI DLC this weekend. But I don't think so. I don't think it's happening. I think we're going to have to wait. I don't think so. Noise. I knew a guy that would never say nice. He would always say noise. He's from New Hampshire. I'd go, dude, you want a beer? And he'd go, what do you got, Bud Light? Noise. Did you see the bass we caught earlier? Fucking 6-pounder. Noise. I'd be like, you know what you're doing. You're choosing to do that. You're choosing to do it. I know I said goodbye, but I'm lost in a rendering hole. I wonder what I'm gonna do tomorrow. Gonna do anything tomorrow? Maybe I'll stream tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is for tomorrow. I'm gonna finish this thing and then I'm gonna go. I've decided. Gotta finish this bottom and then I can go. I don't want to have to come back tomorrow and think about this stupid thing. I just want it to be done. Thank you for the support. Kylo Ren more dot gif. There you go. Puppy, I hear you shaking. I took you to the dog park for over an hour today. You should not be shaking. You should be thanking me. You should be saying, gee, how'd I get so lucky to have an owner who takes me to the goddamn dog park? You should be counting your lucky stars, doggo. You'd still be rotting in that kennel in Georgia were it not for me. You eat my food. You drink my water. And you have the audacity to shake whilst I paint? Who the fuck do you think you are? Besides a perfect, precious little goblin girl. Who's my goblin? Who's my goblin? Who's my goblin girl? Fuck. Whoa. No. Yes. Oh, come on, dude. Yeah. I assumed there was a dark outline on the other one. I guess one thing I should do, might as well get this over with, is tone this in. Yeah. This is all going to be dark. Oops. There we go. Yeah, it's gonna be lower too. All right. We're about to flatten some layers, Sharky. Okay. So today was this. And I got the top half of this started. This thing's gonna suck. The ramp around under the guy's feet is gonna suck. Okay. Yeah, shrinking that down was super necessary. The thing was way too big. Alright, so we gotta do... PSD, PTSD. It's definitely a thing. Alright. This has to definitely be behind the spire. So I'm gonna darken this real quick. Alright. Alright, good. Now this feels like it's definitely in front of it. It's gonna need to be lightened up, but I can do that later. While I'm here, let me grab this. Okay. That gives me a clean edge. Do the same over here. And then we'll call it a night. Oh, weird. I didn't know this didn't continue. Let me get this real quick just before I forget. All right. Another couple days and the frame should be done. This guy is gonna be the hardest part because there's no good reference for him anywhere. Okay. I could probably finish her tomorrow if I wanted to. Most of the hard stuff's done in the head. Alright. Good night. Good seeing you. Love y'all. Bye-bye.